Hey everybody, it's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 13 for key game picks. Before my thoughts on week number 12, let's look at the playoff picture at the moment as we head into week 13. In the AFC, Patriots are still the 1 seed. The Bengals are the 2nd seed. The Broncos continue as the 3rd seed. The Colts the 4th seed. And the current wild cards at the moment right now, the Chiefs are in the 5th seed, and the Texans have now moved into the 6th seed. Now in the NFC, the Panthers are still the 1st seed. The Cardinals still the 2nd seed. Minnesota now has moved into the 3rd seed as they won their game. They won their game, and Green Bay lost their game. With the Redskins now moving into 4th place as they beat virtue by beating the Giants last week. And the current wild cards at the moment are the Packers at the 5th seed, and the Seahawks have now virtued into the 6th seed. Now, last week the Falcons were at the 6th seed, but now the Seahawks have moved in because of their win last week in their game, and Atlanta now losing last week, so now they have been moved out of the playoff picture. All right. Quick thoughts from week number 12. I think the bigger headlines that have come out of this week. Panthers are still unbeaten. No question they beat the Cowboys, but I think the bigger issue now for the Cowboys now is their season is officially over. I mean, Tony Romo is out again. He had the same injury as he had during the beginning of the season. Pretty much that no matter what quarterback they throw in there, Cowboys season is over. They're too far behind in the standings. They're pretty much done now. I don't see them going anywhere, and it's just unfortunate for Tony Romo to get hurt again. Personally, they brought him back way too soon, and even despite the fact that if they thought that he could recover that quickly, I think that whatever the Cowboys medical examiners or whatever they were thinking, really believe that they were mistaken. Well, of course, the other big story, the Patriots finally losing a game. They suffered their first loss of the season at Denver, but I think the bigger story is more the injuries are piling up. Now, the bigger concern right now is that during that game, they thought Gronkowski really had injured his leg. The Patriots right now are fortunate, and I mean fortunate enough that it was not a serious injury, as they do need him back. Now, I want to make something clear here, something to all you people. Look, I try not to be biased on so many things here when I talk about football or any sport. You know, I'm not a big Patriots fan either. But for everybody on social media now that we're all saying, "Oh, I'm so glad that Gronkowski got hurt again. Oh, let's celebrate and all that." That was just uncalled for. Look, I don't like the Patriots that much either. Okay, I'm not a big Patriot fan, but I can't be too biased here when I do these kind of videos either. But yeah, that was totally uncalled for on Gronkowski. I mean, for all you people on social media, you all should be ashamed of yourselves for that sort of thing. But injuries are piling up, and they're a part of football. What can you do? So who knows the timetable for Gronkowski? He might be out maybe just 1 week, maybe two. His status is kind of uncertain for Sunday's game against the Eagles, but wait and see. But I think to put it in perspective and all things considered here, I think for the Patriots it was good for them to lose a game now. And the reason I'm saying this, what is any NFL's team's major goal? To win the Super Bowl, to be the champion. And I think for the Patriots' sake, look, I know injuries are piling up, and I know some Patriot fans maybe got to be concerned. I wouldn't be. I think to me, it's good that they lost now. They're going to be pretty much locked into the 1 seed. I don't see any other team catching them. Well, look, I mean, Cincinnati's not that far behind, but they already had 2 losses and all that. Who's to say? Look, the Patriots' schedule favors them a lot. They expected to go 15-1. That is to be expected. That's going to be their only loss of the regular season. They clearly will have home field advantage in the AFC conference. So I don't see that anything else happening. But yeah, if you're a Patriots fan, I would not be concerned about that. It's good that you lost now. That way it puts the pressure off of the perfect season now. Because if that pressure would have continued into the playoffs and all, I think it would have been even a bigger distraction for the team. And who's to say that they don't get upset in the Super Bowl like they did back in the 2007 season. How about the game on Monday night? I mean, anybody who saw the Ravens and Browns game, the ending of that game was just unbelievable. I mean, anybody who's a Browns fan. I mean, I feel for you guys. I mean, that was probably one of the most crushing defeats in any football game or any sport that you can endure. It's just unfortunate you lose on a blocked field goal, run back for a touchdown. That is just devastating if you're a Cleveland sports fan. I feel for you guys. I don't know anybody who lives in Cleveland and all that who has to endure this type of heartbreaking moments. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for you guys. I just hope one day any of your Cleveland team sports end up winning a championship, but who knows when that's going to happen. Anyways, enough talk from week number 12. Let's get into week 13. There's no more bye weeks now, so everybody now plays all the way towards week 17. And looking at the matchups here, this will be the games I will be talking about here. Alright, let's go to key game number 1, shall we? Key game number 1, the New York Jets and the New York Giants. Giants are the home team in this game, but the Jets are favored by 2 points. Giants suffer what probably might be their toughest loss of the season to the Redskins after they beaten them the first time earlier in the season. Now, this is a game. Now, both these teams need a win here just to keep their playoff hopes alive. Jets, the odds makers had them as a 2-point favorite and all that. But when you look at the keys to the keys between both teams and all that, the Jets have the running game, but the Giants have the passing game. So you could say this game is sort of evenly matched, sort of, which one team has an advantage on one category and the other. Tough one to pick here. Obviously the keys in this one, Ivory has to run the ball. Give the ball to Ivory, and pretty much you get the running game going for the Jets, and that helps them a lot. For the Giants, just consistent passing, just don't turn the ball over, and you'll win. So like I said, it's a tough one to pick here. But I'll go with the New York Giants here because they need this win just as bad, probably more than the Jets do. I know the Jets still has a good shot at the playoffs right now. They're not that far behind out in the standings and for a wild card spot. But for the Giants, they have no choice. They need to win in order to keep pace with the Redskins in a very weak NFC East division. So, no question, I'm going to go with the Giants here. It's going to be a close game, no question about it. This game could go either way, whoever wins this one here. But this is kind of a quick pick for me, but again, because the Giants are going to be more desperate than the Jets are, and I think the Giants will win just barely. It'll be a very close game, no question about it, but I think the Giants barely pull it out. Giants over the Jets. Key game number 2, the Seahawks at the Vikings. Odds makers have this game as an evenly matched game. The odds are even. They kind of have I would kind of say Minnesota probably might be a more favorite in this one here. But I'll stick with that for the time being. As at the time of this video, this will be I will put as odds are even. So I will say, yeah, I will agree with the odds makers for now, but probably by the end of the week, the Vikings might be a slight favorite. Who knows? We'll wait and see how that goes, but there's no question this is a hard one to pick here because I know Seattle is playing more desperately right now. Minnesota is just trying to keep the wins intact to stay at top of the NFC North division. Seattle, they have no choice. They have to fight for the wild card here because they're pretty much well out of the race for the NFC West division title. The Arizona Cardinals pretty much have wrapped that up. I don't see the Seahawks catching them. They had their chance and they lost in that game against Arizona and Seattle a couple of weeks ago. Ooh, tough one here because Seattle's offense needs to come alive in this game because really they're struggling to score points even though they beat Pittsburgh last week. Minnesota didn't really score all that much against Atlanta. Even they only won by 10. So yeah, I do agree. Like I said, I do agree with the odds makers here. Both offenses are sort of evenly matched. Defensive wise, I give the advantage to Seattle. Who wins this game here? It's a tough one here. I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings running game has come alive, and Seattle's defense needs to be ready for this game, and I don't know if they're going to, because Seattle is struggling defensive-wise almost as badly as they're suffering with their offensive line. So, and Wilson really is going to have to play very, very flawless. They cannot have turnovers here, and especially when you're on the road. So it's a tough one here, but I think I'm going to go with Minnesota. This is kind of a tough one to pick here. Minnesota will barely pull it out, but no question this game can go either way. It will be very close, but I think Minnesota will barely pull it out. So I'm going to pick Minnesota in this one, the Vikings over the Seahawks. Key game number 3, a big one in the AFC. It's the Chiefs at the Raiders. The Chiefs are a 3-point favorite in this one, and it's kind of sort of right there. The way the Chiefs are playing right now, they're playing very good football. Their offense is intact. Defense-wise, they need to be ready for the Raiders' offense. This Raider team is no joke. It is no joke. Anybody who knows me on a personal level, I'm not going to say this over and over. Everybody knows I don't like the Raiders. But really, I mean, for the Chiefs' sake, they need to be ready in this one. This is a tough game for the Chiefs here. The odds makers have it as the Chiefs 3 points. It could be a lot lower. It could be maybe to 2 by the end of the week. But it's a tough one here. Raiders offense, I know the Raiders are struggling, and there should have been no excuse to the way they lost last. No excuse to those losses, especially against Detroit, but they were barely able to hang on to beat the Titans last week in a game which I thought they were going to lose. For the Chiefs, like I said, their offense is much more intact, even though they don't have Jamal Lewis for the season. But they need to keep their offense intact and find a way to break through that Raiders defense. Raiders, on the other hand, though, their offense, as I said, like the Chiefs, their offense needs to stay intact. And they can't afford to have turnovers in this game, even though this game is in Oakland. But I like the Chiefs in this one. Their offense is playing, the way this team is playing right now, they seem to be on a mission here. And they're currently having one of those 2 playoff spots in the AFC at the moment. And no question this will be a close game. This is going to be a very close game here. But I like the Chiefs in this one. Probably more or less. I see the Chiefs winning by a touchdown here, but it's going to be very close, so no question about it. So that's why I'm going to pick the Chiefs in this one here. Chiefs over the Raiders. And key game number 4, the Colts at the Steelers. Steelers are a 6.5-point favorite in this one. This could be lower. No word yet on whether or not Ben Roethlisberger will be playing in this game, because last week in Seattle, he took himself out of the game for concussion protocol. And I think what Ben Roethlisberger did was a smart move, because he took a hit that really was effective. And I think with Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, anybody who's going to call Ben Roethlisberger a wuss, you need to shut up, because concussions are now being taken very seriously here, and it goes back to one of the Rams quarterbacks about 2 weeks ago when he was not taken out, which he should have been. But for this sake, though, in this case, for Roethlisberger last week against the Seahawks, he took himself out, which was the smart move. You need to get checked out, because, like I said, concussions now you need to be taking that. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're playing sports or not. Those type of things you need to take seriously. And I like what Ben Roethlisberger did, and I'm not going to blame him for taking himself out in that game. But going back to this game here against the Colts, like I said, no word yet on whether Roethlisberger will play in this game. If he's not playing in this game and all that, could really drop the odds in this one for the Steelers. The Colts, on the other hand, here you have to rely on Hasselbeck for the remainder of the season, because we don't know if Andrew Luck's going to be back in this one. Even though the Colts are barely clinging on to the first place in that AFC South division, tough to say who wins this game here, but I'm actually going to go with the Steelers here. I think the Steelers have, even though they lost to Seattle last week, they might have had something going last week. Their offense was intact. But look, I know there's no word yet whether Ben Roethlisberger will be in this game. If he does play in this game, look, I'm not saying right now, like I said, at the time of this video, you have to keep reading the NFL, NFL.com, or in other sources to see whether or not he's going to be in this game. If he's in this game, the odds, I like these odds. But if he's not playing on Sunday, it's going to be tough. But I'm still going to pick Pittsburgh here. It'll be another tight game here, assuming if Roethlisberger does not play. If he does play, Pittsburgh will win more. I see Pittsburgh winning by at least 10 points. This one's kind of this one is a toss-up here, but I'll go with Pittsburgh here because I like them. Pittsburgh does play pretty well at home, even though I know they had a couple of home losses this year. But I like them in this game here, so I'm going to pick the Steelers here. Steelers over the Colts. That wraps up my picks for week number 13. As we're drawing inches in weeks now, as we're in the month of December, we're getting close to the playoffs. And it's almost the end of 2015. I can't believe it already. Check out the sportblog.blogspot.com for all of my picks for week number 13. Until then, I will see you all next week when I talk about my picks for week 14. Until then, take care and enjoy your football weekend.